Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of In Lay Terms. I'm your host, Payman Ascari, and we have our guest, Sam Anthony, is back on the show today. Mr. Anthony, how are you?
Great, Payman. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm in Whistler, British Columbia, and it's raining, so could be better.
It is sunny here in Florida and hot, the usual. We're here in full-blown summer now, so guess complete opposite weathers.
How's the humidity going down there?
It's humid. I mean, the good news is on the East Coast, it's a little cooler because we have the Atlantic Ocean, and the Atlantic's a little cooler than the Gulf, so the Gulf gets a little hotter over there on the other side. But here it stays a little cooler. It's always, it's. I've been here for 34 or 7. I don't even know how many years I've been here. 37 years. It's always roughly the same temperature. It's like 91, 92. You'll get an occasional 93, but it's usually always the same all summer long, and then, winter comes, and that's when everybody wants to be here. That's why all the snowbirds come down, because it's, milder weather and less humidity. But we live in a swamp. What can I tell you? I mean, technically nobody should be living here, right? This is all alligators and snakes. So somebody decided, hey, I think people want a vacation here. Let's put some roads in. And here's Florida.
Drain the swamp. That's where the phrase came from.
Exactly.
I was in Florida, I think last year or the year before, for your Independence Day, so 4th of July, and it was so hot. Like, I tried to walk to the corner store and I almost fainted.
Okay, so coming from you, who's living in, Canada, and, when it gets hot there, it's like 70 degrees, right? So it's not, when you're here all the time, you just get used to it. To me, what's hot is when you're in Nevada, or, you're in Arizona, and it's 120 degrees. They say, oh, it's a dry heat. Yeah, get in the oven. Okay, turn it to 120 and stay there for an hour. Okay, it's freaking hot. So that heat stings. This doesn't sting. It's just warm, but you get used to it. I never got used to the cold, though. That I will tell you. I grew up in Chicago, and whenever winter came, everybody just couldn't stand it. So to me, I would much rather be a place where there's a beach and you don't have to wear so much clothes. It's like living in a freezer where you live, right? And they play hockey here.
That's the both worlds.
And they won the NHL Stanley Cup. So that's the
but you're not going to rub that in.
Yeah. I'm not going to rub that in. So we have it all: warm weather, beaches, sunshine, little humidity, and we have the Stanley Cup.
Well, congratulations to your team. As I mentioned, I don't watch sports, but I'm happy if you're happy.
Yeah, it didn't do anything for me. I mean, I just got the enjoyment of watching it, but they wouldn't let me hold the thing.
Did you watch the playoffs?
Yeah.
How many games in did they get?
6.
6. Okay, and 4-2. I guess they won.
Yeah, it was 3. Yeah, because it would have had to been 4-2. Yeah, 4-2.
Yeah. I watched one of them. The Edmonton just got wiped out. Like
5-1, 6-1, something like that. Yeah. Was it the one with all the fights?
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Yes, I don't even know what they were fighting about. Somebody was mad at somebody.
I'm from Vancouver, and we got to the playoffs and we lost, and then there was a riot in Vancouver. I was telling you about. Ever since then, that was like 10 years ago. I haven't watched hockey. I was watching that game. I'm like, is this hockey or is this the WWF? Like, it's just fights.
Well, it used to be years ago. They did a lot of fighting, and then that kind of subsided. But that game you're describing, there was a lot of fights in that game, and obviously somebody was aggravated for something. I don't know what it was, because I mean, I understand when you're playing hockey, it's nonstop. There's no whistles unless you cross a line improperly, or there's a goal, or somebody I was going to say commits a crime, but that's not what it is. They get a penalty. But other than that, it's just full gear and full bore. And so when you're digging in those corners and somebody's pushing on you, you could get a little irritated. I mean, that I understand. But in that game, it was like they were taking it to a whole nother level. So I don't know if the coach told them, irritate these people, get in their face, get some fights going, see if you could rattle them. Didn't work, obviously, but I don't know what the reason was. But the next game, none of that happened.
I was surprised that they didn't try to beat up one of the referees.
Yeah, well, then you're immediately ejected from the NHL. Yeah, apparently you can't beat up the referees. That's a no-no in the NHL.
It's the red line.
Yeah, that's it.
Sam, I'm going to hand it over to you. I want you to explain for the audience your platform, YourNews.com. While you do that, I'm just going to quickly turn off my camera. I'm going to close my door in case there's background noise. How's that?
Sounds good. And by the way, are most of your audience Canadian or no?
I would say 90% are Canadian.
Okay. So what YourNews is we're a hyper local news network currently in the United States. But I will tell you this, you guys live in a country that has state controlled media. The first thing I'm going to do here, I have one piece of tech that's being completed. I was told it's going to be done by the end of the month. The next thing we're doing is we're opening up a Canadian version. So, and we're going to pull the US news, but then you'll be able to populate it with your own. And the reason for that is because it's North America, you know, I'm sure kind of US news is what you guys consume anyway. Certainly the sports stuff, right? I got all the sports and all that stuff, but then you guys could fill in all the local content with local, and with the country content, we could do that for the whole country. But we're a daily, like any daily newspaper website. We just have massive scale. We're in every city in the United States. We have the ability to publish content to a city, to a county, to a market, state, regional, or national. So the example would be a city story would be a city council meeting in a city like Boca Raton or Miami would be politics news for that city. Whereas something like the high school football game would be broader in distribution. Now, in the United States, there's 210 television DMAs. DMA is designated market area. It's what the CBS, ABC, NBC, and Fox affiliates are, the marketplaces for them. You know what I'm talking about, Payman?
I don't. I'm sure my audience doesn't. Can you break that down?
Yeah, and it's the markets are like the Chicago. Well, the New York market is number one. The LA market's number two. It's based on population. Chicago market's number three. If you'd like, I can just give you a quick screen share to show them. Maybe that would help.
Sure.
Because you guys are set up by provinces, right?
Yeah, but our provinces are your versions of states.
Yes. Okay. So because I'm going to set you guys up. Hold on. I'm going to see if we could share this. Present. Slide, share screen. And then I'm going to do PDF right here. You see this?
Yep. Let me bring it up. Come on. Why is it not coming up? Before presenting a screen, remove other media. Okay, 1 second. So remove that.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. So I blew it up. So these are your different markets. So Chicago, whatever somebody's watching on the local CBS affiliate in Chicago gets viewed all in this blue area, which goes into Indiana. Here's Madison. There's 210 of these markets. We have them all built into our system. Okay, so there's Philly. Here's the New York market, which runs into New Jersey, but that's one TV market. Make sense? You got it? Stop share. Yeah. I don't think we need to see that anymore. So it's how our country's set up. And so we could distribute news to the market, which would be like the high school football game would be sports news for that market. And then obviously national news like the NHL Stanley Cup game or the Monday Night Football game would be national news in the sports section. So we're a news content distribution platform. We allow the public to interact and contribute it to the narrative locally and post their own news, views, opinions, and classifieds. And then we have a monetization model like YouTube where news reporters can fill out an application. They could start reporting news on our site. And we could publish that content to a specific geography based on what they're reporting on. They share it on their social media pages to the people that follow them. We sell advertising, and they get a percentage of the ad revenue. And then a self-service ad platform where people can log in and buy their own ad and target it right down to the zip code or wherever they want to advertise. So I hope I explained that. Is that good?
Yes.
So when we do Canada, we'll configure Canada the way the provinces would be the states. So you'll have 10 states, and then you'll have the counties, and then you'll have the cities. So we'll be able to publish content to a specific city, a specific county, a specific, I guess, market or state, because it's probably, I think there's 10 of them, right? Isn't there 10?
Yeah, we have 10 provinces.
Okay.
10,
So
10 states.
Yeah, so it's like 10 states, but the provinces aren't that big. I mean, maybe some of them are. I'm just trying to think, because like you see that whole Chicago market, there's like 10 million people in there.
Right. So what would happen is the majority of the population of Canada is within like 100 miles or 150 miles of the US border.
Okay. Okay.
So it's 10 provinces, but you're going to take a tiny little strip of each.
Say that again. So the majority of the population, what percentage?
90% of Canada's population lives on 1% of the land. So what happens is if you look at the map, the population density of Canada, it's all along this one belt, right, hugging the US-Canada border.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So the rest of it is just like nature and stuff. It's lakes
yeah, like there are some people living up there. Partly it's because it's cold. Partly it's just because we have a feudal type of government. They created the cities in a way that it was easy for them to control the population.
Okay. Well, it's for distribution of information. Canada will have their own edition and the ability to be able to report news freely without censorship. That's the key. So I'm sure I'll be a real big fan of your government here within the next year. So I'm suspecting they'll probably, if you guys really get pounded this thing and you guys really start sharing truth, and the truth that there's nothing that pisses a government off that wants to hide things than shedding light on it. So I'm sure they're going to blame me for it all, right? So whatever, I don't care. Tell them to come to Florida, we can hang out. But anyway, that's coming. I promise. I told people I was going to get it done. I just need one piece of tech done before that. We'll get that done. I don't know how long it will take, only because your zip codes are different than ours. So on the development side, they have to kind of make them so they fit with ours, because I want to populate it with all the national news from the US and then allow you guys to fill in the local. Make sense?
Yeah, it does to me.
That's it. So that's what I do. And ultimately, with the numbers diminishing with mainstream media, it's just a matter of time for there's no radio or TV. I'm talking about, cable news and radio with the towers. All that stuff's going to be gone. And it has nothing to do with whether you believe they're lying or not. It's just the internet has given birth to millions of content creators, and the younger generation doesn't consume information the way the older generation consumes it, payment. And so all of it's changing, and now people have options, and people watch what they want to watch, when they want to watch, and who they want to watch. So, for your audience, I mean, the reason people listen to you is because whatever you're saying resonates with them and they trust you, right? I mean, what else would it be? The reason people listen to Joe Rogan is because whatever he's saying resonates with them and they trust him. And that's the news source. So without this technology from StreamYard, what we're on right now, or Rumble for distribution, or YouTube, you don't exist in this form, right? This is the technology of today. And so all I do is provide technology that allows any local citizen anywhere to become a local news reporter. That's it. So the world's changing. So ultimately, what we do will become the next mainstream media. I'm just the aggregator of all the information with a real revenue model behind it. That's the key.
So I want to touch on something you and I talked about before going live. Okay. If you can talk about this, you mentioned you spoke to an individual, Naomi Wolf.
Naomi Wolf.
Yeah, and you described her as, she has the ideas, and you're the distribution.
Yes. Well,
can you speak to that?
Yeah. So Naomi and I had a conversation earlier, and I was on her show early I think it was last week. And she said, once she saw what I did, she's like, Sam, we need to talk. And I said, okay. So we set up a time, and she showed me what she has, and what she created was on a state level. I said to her, do you do the local municipality? She's like, no, we don't have an API feed for 20,000 municipalities, but if we could get it, we could do it. So what was really cool was this website took every single bill on a state level and it pulls it in. Okay, so it's public information. You get to see this stuff, but she has a website that pulls all this stuff in. And from a consumer standpoint, I can look at each bill, and she has AI that reads the bills, because some of these bills are ridiculous, 4,000 pages, 300 pages, whatever. Nobody wants to read 300 pages. You have a job, you have a life, you don't have time for this stuff. But the AI reads the bill and will highlight what's important in that bill, what you need to know so you could see it. And then from there, as a citizen, you could vote on the bill. So you could share that bill with other people. They could vote on the bill, and then you could share that off to it shows you the person who sponsored it, that co-sponsors, like all the people that are backing it. So the reason I'm telling you this is, you know how many bills get slipped through, into law that none of the citizens know about? I mean, let me tell you, I've been in Florida 37 years, and I couldn't tell you one bill that I knew about that went into law. Nobody called me and said, here's what we're doing. What do you think of this? There's no, what do you think of this? It's all in your face. You could see everything. And so now what happens is the citizens like myself could actually vote on this, and the politicians could see in real time what the citizens like and what they don't like. And then all of it could be shared on social media. So you could take the bill and say, please look at this and, decide if this is what you want for this state. Okay, so somebody that has 100,000 followers could send that to 100,000 people, and they could take a look at it and say, okay, this is what it is. No, I don't want this. Well, that all gets fed to the people that are pushing the bill. So if they're still voting for it, they're voting against the will of the people. This is what I really like about it, because now there's actual documentation. It's amazing, Payman, the technology that's existing and what people our innovators are coming up with to be able to expose all this stuff. I mean, even if it's not exposed, just get the public to participate. Think about it, okay? Because I can't tell you in 37 years one thing that I ever participated in, because you just hear about it on the news. Florida just passed this bill that basically screwed all of you. I mean, you don't know this stuff is coming. Now you're going to see it before it happens. And you're going to be able to vote on it. That to me is just amazing. And then the other one we were talking about was, and I'm going to pull it up here. Hold on. He has something. I'm just looking for the name of the. Citizens Defending Freedom. And it's a gentleman I just talked to. His name is Steve, and I'm just going to pull it up. So I think it's a for-profit, because it's Citizens Defending Freedom. But when I listen to the website, is citizensdefendingfreedom.com, and it is a grassroots effort, and they're building. They're here to protect liberty. It says our models for protecting liberty, citizen resource library, get involved. But basically what they're doing is they're going to local communities, and they're saying, you need to report on what's happening in your local schools, in your local government, but they have no distribution. So all of a sudden I'm in every locale. I'm distribution. That's the cool part of it. So it's like all these little pieces. I'm the wheel, and they're all the spokes. Make sense? So
it does.
Yes.
I have a question for you. Do you have like a sales team, or is it just you that's valiantly going out there spreading this message?
It's just me. I mean, we have a small staff. I thought you were going to ask for ad sales. So ultimately, because at the end of the day, my whole business model is a marketing effort. So like we have over 800 news reporters. I told you I just picked up somebody from Greece. So somebody would say, well, you're the US, why Greece? It's called World News, right? I have people that report on the ground in Ireland, right? When they were having those riots, and I had photos and real-time reporting out of Ireland. I have a news reporter there that's covering all that stuff, which I think is cool as hell. So it's ultimately, we have a little over 800 news reporters. What did we have last time I was on your show? It probably was like 600 or something. I don't know. 700.
We picked a few up.
Yeah. So we got a bunch more, right? So it just keeps adding. The pile keeps getting bigger. But I want to get that, and I market it. on LinkedIn. I haven't marketed on social media yet, but I have created the ads to do it. I just haven't done it. But they all sign up. And then once they sign up, we look at them to make sure nobody's, there's no bad people, right? We look at all of them are just, they're people that can't get jobs because the media industry is laying everybody off, right? So, we're picking them up, and now we have local news. We're expanding our operations all across the United States with local independent news reporting. But just because you were not in the news business doesn't mean you can't do this, okay? Remember, Pam, the media set the bar really low, okay? All you got to do is tell the truth. All of a sudden you win. But from the advertiser standpoint, I thought you were going to tell me, like, I'm going to do the follow button for everybody, and then I'm going to do that's that first piece of tech, then Canada. Then the next step for me is we're going to make our self-service ad platform a little more robust the way I want it, because ultimately I'm going to market to all the businesses on a self-service ad platform, and they can buy their own ad and target it right down to one zip code. So there's really not going to be any salespeople selling ads or anything like that when it comes to pushing this product out. What I do is I bring on the content creators, and the content creators post the stories and distribute it to their audience. You see what I mean? So if you have 500 people that follow you, you're bringing me 500 people that I didn't have. You're my marketing arm. I'm just distribution for content with monetization. There's two things that every content creator wants. Only two: distribution and monetization. I'm distribution and monetization. That's all I offer, right? Right down to the locale is the difference, right? So I can have a city story, like, the city council meeting, which somebody could report on, but nobody cares about that, but the people, residents in that city. So there's no real sales team for this. What I see as we scale it up is mostly a marketing effort and a customer service effort. Customer service would be, tier one tech support where, people are having issues with something, or if somebody's trying to put up an ad and they're having issues, or somebody's working on a content and they're having a problem, and it's all chat stuff. But no, I really think I think the biggest portion of our business is going to be tech support. It's going to be customer service. Let's say you had 50,000, 100,000, 500,000 advertisers. Okay. You don't think some of these people are going to be having problems? I can't get this ad up. I can't do this. I don't know how to do that. Right. So the tech support, or the support, is going to be able to look in there and say, okay, you did this wrong, or let me change this, so they'll be able to help with that stuff. But eventually it's going to be the same as Facebook. I mean, I'm sure if you're trying to put an ad up in Facebook, there's got to be some kind of tech support for that, right? Somebody that helps with that. So I don't really see it as a big sales thing. For me, mine is relationship building, like what you just described, but that came from somebody else, when I, from Naomi to whatever. So all this stuff kind of comes together, and as I said, I'm the wheel and everybody else is just the spokes. So it's really crazy. I mean, the thing that I'm doing is so massive in scope, Paymon. I mean, this is Google big. You realize that, right? But it benefits everybody else. My product is not about me. It's about everyone else, and everybody else wins. So if I call you and you're the Cancer Society and you guys are having an event, you're looking for exposure, and I say, hey, I'll publish your article for free, just submit it to me. What are the only two words I'm going to hear are going to be thank you. That's it. Or one word, whatever you want to call it. It's because whatever I do is benefiting you.
I imagine every whistleblower in Canada would love it if you could roll this out here.
Okay, so I already have a lot of the content creators who already know all these whistleblowers. So once we get that lit up and running, I'm going to let those people do all the work. Look, I don't live in your country, right? So I know mine better than yours, and yours better, than I do. So you guys are going to be the ones to run with it. And yes, I would love to see really damaging content come out, whistleblowers with documentation. At the end of the day, what I see happening with this, Paymon, is what I do is inevitable. So if I don't do it, somebody's going to do it anyway. It fills a void because nobody's hiring any news reporters, and there's a massive demand for local news. That's the key. all that stuff has gone away. I'm sure you see it in your communities, right? I mean, unless the government is still funding the local newspaper that nobody's picking up, are they still doing that?
Canada, yes. Our biggest one, our version of CNN, they get over $1 billion funding.
And even if 9 people are watching, right? It doesn't matter.
I don't think their viewership is that high.
But what about local news, like all the little local municipalities?
I don't have the numbers, but again, imagine another billion or 2 billion that they're funding. The government's bought out the media in Canada. We are a communist state.
So when I come in with a product that has a submit your news button and the ability for the public to be able to share in the narrative, they're going to look at that as a threat.
That's where I wanted to pivot to. They're already seeing it as a threat. So I have a couple questions, and I want to go over a couple of bills. I guess just one question. In the US, do you have to pay, like, yes, so you pay capital gains tax or income tax or whatever, on profit, commercial tax, but do you have to pay anything to the government for being a news organization?
Well, you have to pay on any profits, but no, you don't have to pay. You mean you have to, whatever your state you're set up in, you have your fees. If you're in Florida, or if you're in, Delaware, or whatever your state is, you pay state fees. Delaware is a little expensive. Florida's like $150 a year.
So we have this bill. It's called Bill C-11, the Online Streaming Act. Past a certain point, like if your revenue is, I think it was over $300,000 a year revenue gross, you have to give a portion of that as tax to the government. This is not income tax, profit tax. It's a penalty to people that share the news. So that's one thing to be mindful of.
Well, so first of all, I'm a US based company, and just because I create a Canadian version doesn't mean I'm a Canadian based company. So therefore, nothing will ever go to that government, ever. It's just, for what? Why would I send them anything? I mean, again, I have to pay my taxes to the United States. I shouldn't have to pay Canadian taxes since I don't have a Canadian website. I have a US based website that has a Canadian version that's hosted in the United States. So explain to me where I'm a Canadian website. I'm not. I'm just publishing information from your citizens about the crimes you're committing, and people pay me for it.
Yeah, but that's the purpose of this bill. The government here knows they're committing crimes, and they know that the only recourse Canadians have is US media. Like, you're our savior. So if we want any news to get out to Canadians, we have to get it on American news.
So I'll just tell them, send me a bill, and that'll be it. I ain't sending them nothing. Trust me on this one. They will get not a nickel from me. There's no reason.
So there's another thing that they're doing. Bill C-18, the Online News Act. They've gone to Facebook, and they told Facebook, if you want to share news, you're taking away opportunities from our state-controlled Canadian media. So you have to give a fee, for like every news item you post, you give us $1 or something. So Facebook got angry at the government of Canada. That's why we can't post news on Facebook now. It's illegal. So that's another one to look into.
Okay. So they're basically scaring everybody away.
Yeah, I'm not trying to say your idea won't work. I'm just saying, like, look into this. What they're trying to do is they want Facebook to give the government of Canada, whatever, $1 billion a year, and then they can give that to the state media so that they can continue sharing their propaganda. We have a communist government in Canada.
No question. I mean, but from my standpoint, I may have something that is a Canadian version where people from Canada can submit it, but it's hosted in the United States. It's not even yours. It's mine. It's not theirs. It has nothing to do with Canada. We're just organizing information. So from that standpoint, how could they say that I'm obligated to pay them? And my response will be the same thing as I tell everybody else: go F yourself. Okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I already have to pay taxes to my government. So why would I want to pay taxes to your government when I don't even live there and I don't operate there and I have nothing to do with it? The fact that your citizens like my news organization more than your news organization is not my problem. If anything, you need to pay me. That's how I see it. So I'll figure that argument out on the next conversation.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. We need this up here. So get this website up and running, and then if the government of Canada comes after you, you tell them what you just told me. F off.
Yeah, that's my exact words. I get those things from. I used to get them from the Soros funded, which is really U.S. taxpayer dollar funded, fact checkers, right? We see on your site you have the stories which are not true, and we'd like to talk. And my response is, go F yourself every time. F off, F off. They got to the point after like 5 or 6 of them, they don't even send them to me anymore. Nasty emails back. Because look, I don't really care what your opinion is. It doesn't really matter. It's irrelevant. I'm not interested in having a conversation with you. And when it comes to your government, the whole purpose of our product is to put the power of the press in the hands of the people. That's it. I mean, there's no other cause. So I think the people of Canada should be able to have news and information flow freely without censorship. And if the government of that country doesn't, then turn my domain name off and let people log on with a VPN. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. They're still going to get on. It's the same thing. So if you don't like it, just turn it off.
Yeah, this is rapidly turning into a third world country where the government's filtering the internet.
Yeah, so maybe I could get Trump to bomb a couple of places there in your country if you could give me the coordinates, and we could take care of it.
I'll give you a couple of underground bases somewhere north of
perfect.
Canada.
Yeah. Boom, boom, and then that'll be the end of it. So it just gets old. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, why is it they're afraid of information unless you're doing something wrong? It's a joke.
I wonder if let me tell you the third bill. And you tell me if this shocks you or if it's you guys understand how bad Canada is. Bill 63, the Online Harms Act, it's a hate speech legislation. So if you say something that constitutes racism, sexism, transphobia, or if they suspect that you might in the future say something racist, they can fine you. They don't have to give you evidence. Like if they have a whistle, somebody gives what do you call it? They call in and they give a tip. They don't have to share it to you. So you can't confront your accuser. And they can even throw you in jail.
Has this passed?
No, this didn't pass. This is exactly when our previous prime minister resigned. Like this is the one case that didn't pass, and they're trying to pass it again now.
And so if they pass something like this, I mean, it's basically the government has carte blanche to go in and do anything they want to you. They can make everything up. There's no need.
Let me give you an example. We have our version of like an NID director or whatever, CDC director. She's a Muslim woman that's morbidly obese. Like this is supposed to be a minister of health. And I call her the halal director. If this bill passes, for me calling her that, I could go to jail.
That is so weird. I mean, because honestly, if you got to let me know if they pass this bill, just because that means that you guys are in peril. And basically, they're just trying to shut down everything and control you and have the ability to be able to take you away without anybody being able to ask any questions. I mean, they're now in complete and utter charge. And what a joke. And I can't even believe somebody would actually have the ability. I mean, look, the Democratic Party here in our country would love to be able to pull something like this off. Okay. But they don't have the power, at least at the moment, because if they could have concentration camps that they brought us into, they would do it. These people are cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. But you guys, they're really all one and the same. I mean, do you remember our minister of health, whatever the hell it was, that thing we had, that fat faggot, whatever it was. If I offended somebody, tough shit. I don't care. Whatever it was not a vision of health. Okay. And now we have RFK Jr. Like him or don't like him. Guy's 71 years old. He's built like freaking like an Atlas god. Okay. I mean, do you ever see this guy with no shirt on? He's ripped. And so how do you, if you were going to go to a personal trainer, would you go to somebody that was 300 pounds and overweight to say, hey, can you make me look like you? No, you want to go to somebody that, is ripped and go, God, that motivates me. I want to look like that person. Just makes logical sense. So the weird part is, why do they put these people in places? I mean, I saw the videos, drag queen stuff in the White House. I mean, You know how many drag queens there are in the United States percentage wise? I bet you it's like 1/1,000,000th of 1%. I mean, it's like almost minuscule. Yet for some reason, these people get elevated, and I have nothing against them. I have nothing against homosexuality. I mean, if that's what you want to do, go do it. I'm not going to kill you for it. But when you start promoting it, when 99% of the population is not, and I get this shoved down my throat, yeah, I get a little offended. I get a lot offended, as a matter of fact.
Isn't it Pride? In Canada, we have an entire month devoted to Pride. We call it Pride Month. I think it's now.
I know we had something. Yeah, I think we have that gay pride. That stuff always used to take place in Key West. And if you wanted to go down there and just watch it for a good laugh, and you wanted to enjoy it's their culture. It's what they are. I mean, I don't think it's anybody's fault that they're gay. I just think that's the way they were born. And, it's so, some of them could be good people. Some of them could be bad people. It doesn't matter. But they predominantly were always in Key West. And, that's where their celebration always happened. And now they wanted to bring all this stuff to light. Well, what's the percentage of homosexuality in the United States or across the globe or in Canada? Do you know that number? Is it?
Well, it depends. According to the government of Canada, it's like 75%. But realistically, it's like 1% of 1% of 1%.
Yeah, it's almost nothing. So they're pushing this stuff just to aggravate the population. Okay, they're just turning people against each other. And it works because I'm very much against it. So it definitely works. That's all they're trying to do, is they're trying to split you against somebody else. The problem is 99% of the people you see are not gay. And the ones that are don't say a word. Okay, they just go about their business. But then you have the flamboyant ones, and what this trans stuff is, I don't know. I mean, all of it is just cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So right now, the United States is somewhat fixed in the sense that we have control of the House and Senate, and you have control of the White House. The legacy media, nobody believes anymore. Nobody believes yours anymore either. The next step is to roll out a media product like mine, where you put the power to press in the hands of the people. I'll deal with the problems, which to me, I love a good fight, so it doesn't really matter. I'm more interested in going into a fight than to stay away from it. So for me, it's like, good, we got a problem. Let's get something going, right? So in your country, this is just more of my personality, so it's what I was made to do. The thing is, you guys have to use the product to your advantage. I'll keep it going. You guys just need to use it to your advantage. And that I can't force. But
so
go ahead.
Let's get back to your website. Well, what's your user count right now? And what are your targets for the next 1, 2, and 3 years?
We have a little over 4,000 non-monetized people, PR firms, nonprofits. And only reason we have 4,000 is because I don't market to them at all. And I should. This is where we're raising capital, because it takes a lot of marketing dollars to do this. But there's literally millions of nonprofits. The other one, when we had this conversation, I don't remember when I was on last, at least a couple of months ago, right? There was probably 500-600 news reporters. Well, we're now a little over 800, 803, 5. I don't know what it is. So that continues to grow. And whenever I spend money, because I've been spending small amounts of money, I do it on LinkedIn. My budget on LinkedIn is $20 or $25 a day. So you get $20 worth of advertising, which basically means they leak it to about 20 people. Okay. There's 500,000 that I want to reach. And if I were to reach all 500,000, it probably would cost me $100,000 to do it. Okay. But out of that, you'll get maybe 40% of them sign up. I mean, a massive number. Payment, I couldn't even handle it. I mean, you're talking 100,000 signups. It would be ridiculous. I bring on at least 3 or 4 a day. Every day comes in from whatever it is. And, if you do, 25 a week, you're at 100 a month. Right. And so that's been about my growth. But if I want to kick it up, I just spend more money. So if I want to spend, $300 or $400 a day on LinkedIn, instead of getting 3 or 4 signups, I'll get 30 or 40 signups a day. And now you do the math on that. Now you're talking, 1,000, 1,200 a month. And all of a sudden it's a whole different world. So the real goal to this is, right now I'm doing that equity crowdfund. And for those of you who don't know what it is, we're selling stock in the company, and my plan is to take it public in the next 24 months. I already have the whole system set in place, But like any company, you need growth capital to expand. I don't need growth money for people to tell me how to do my business or how to figure it out, because it's already in motion. Nobody that has 800 news reporters doesn't know what they're doing. The next step is when you're raising capital, you're going to go through growing pains. Like all the stories that come in, there's a review process. Somebody looks at them not for validity, because we're a platform, but to make sure nobody's doing anything wrong. And also, you got to make sure it's going in the right subject, and, sports, business, politics. And then you have to put it in the right geography. Is it a city story? Is it a county story? Is it a market story? Is it a state story? So you have to look at that stuff and then distribute based on geographical relevance and then subject, all that. So, it's fine. We get, for a few hundred a day, and I have an infrastructure in place, but very soon it's going to get to 350 and then 400 and then 1,000. And so all of a sudden, imagine having 10,000 news reporters reporting news. Payment, there's no possible way. I don't have the infrastructure to handle that kind of content coming in. So it's no different than when Amazon sold the first book and somebody packaged it and shipped it out. It's great as long as you have 5 or 10 of them. One guy could do it. But if you get 300 or 400 of them, you're going to need 3 or 4 people doing this, right? So it's the same thing with me. You're going to need more people. But these are good problems to have. It's called growing pains. You're growing. My product works very similar to any social media site, whereas the more content you bring in, the larger your audience grows. So once you've aggregated all the content, you'll get all the readers. By the way, that attracts all the ad revenue, and that's what supports the whole business model. So it's a combination. And the equity crowdfund that we're doing, and the only reason I'm doing an equity crowdfund, because my business is capital raising, is simply because the reason we're in the mess in the United States, I don't know about where you live, but yes, because where you live, it's the government actually owns it. Where we live, we have 6 institutions that control the narrative, and they get money from the government through something called USAID, or they were. So they were funded through the government through shells, which was a bunch of BS. So those 6 entities control everything. And so that's why we have centralized news, where it's the same narrative. You probably saw the Sinclair Broadcasting things where you have 30 TVs saying the same thing at the same time, that kind of thing, which is the same in your country, just on a larger scale. And so what I do is we completely decentralize the news business. So it's total decentralization. News reporting that's independent, and it completely democratizes the news industry and who gets to tell the news. So now we, the people, can tell the news, and that is going to be the same thing in Canada, where the people in Canada are going to be able to tell the news. It completely solves the problem, because it decentralizes everything. Your government's not going to like it. My government can't say anything about it, simply because we have a free speech here, right? Okay. Freedom of the press. What are they going to say? Oh, you can't do that. You can't tell the truth. That's fake news. Oh, okay. It's just yours is going to be a little different. My guess is they'll probably shut down my IP address because I'll be obstinate.
You know what you should do? You should get ahead of that by coming out with a VPN product.
Well, but there's so many of them, and anybody can just log in with a VPN and go to YourNews.com and put in their Canadian zip code, and it'll serve up all the information. It's like a non-event. Canada will feel better because they squashed me. And you guys could feel better because you could still share all the stories to them and aggravate them even more right off my site.
So I have one final technical question. Sure. How difficult was it for you to get your first kind of few users or whatever, news reporters? Because when you first start the site, there's no users, there's no viewers. How did you square that circle?
So that's a good question, because it was different. I've been doing this for years. And so years ago, I had a completely different model. It was a model similar to the network TV stations, where I had affiliates across the United States, but they were all broadcast stations that had local news departments. And so what happened was I think it was about 2014 or 2015, all the radio stations, because they were independent radios, what they were, and they have a news director with a couple, 2, 3 news reporters running around. Guess who got laid off? All the news people, the director, all of them. So as money gets tighter and shrinks, they get rid of the cost, the people who aren't generating revenue. So those people were kicked off. So what I had to do that whole model fell apart. I thought that was the answer. But, a couple of the broadcasters told me, Sam, our radio stations in another decade won't even be in existence. They're going to be gone. And I said, why? And they said, do you listen to radio? I said, no. They go, well, neither would we if we didn't own the stations. They said it's all the younger generations listen to their podcasts, Spotify, whatever. They're on TikTok. They're all getting information differently. So they're still, what we're doing right now is the new TV. It is. If this goes up on YouTube or on Rumble, that's television. There's audio, Spotify. That's the new radio. It's still audio version. It's just the delivery mechanism is not the airwaves. It's the internet, right? So it's still the same. It's just now I don't have to get home at 5 o'clock to watch the show. I could tune into it next month. It'll still be there. Okay. And so the younger generation is consuming information completely different. So we then had to conform. And I said, so what are we going to do? Because since these broadcast stations are going out of business, our model's going to go out of business. And then, one day I do all my great thinking when I'm not sleeping at night because I just constantly think. And it came to me, we need to do this as a monetization model where news reporters can make money off of it. And so then I had to, it's like payment taking a car and you got to take the whole engine out because that's garbage, right? Doesn't work. And you have to now put in a whole new engine. That was the expensive part. Okay. Because all the shell, the way it looks is, the walls. I had to take out all the guts of that thing and then put in all new one. Then we had to test it. And so what I did was I started, the first thing I did was I ran an ad on LinkedIn and it was, we're hiring. And I didn't know what to do. And I ran it for 24 hours and I got 160 people that booked into my Calendly. Let me say it again, 160 people. Do you know how many people that is to talk to on Zoom? Okay. It took like a month and a half to go through them all, 8 hours a day, every day.
Sorry, let's go back. You put an ad on LinkedIn for an employment position or as a news reporter for the site?
As a news reporter for YourNews. And, I put a description of how it works and I wanted to talk to these people. I just figured you might get 4 or 5 people, 160 in 24 hours filled out this. They set up a call on Zoom because there's a massive demand. There's this void. Nobody could get a job. So I did talk to all of them and I learned. And, everybody had a different story. Some people were new. Some people were in the business. Some people didn't care about the monetization. Some people weren't interested in what we're doing at all. So you kind of get a feel for your business. And it's always good to talk to everybody because you want to have an understanding of what it is you're getting into. So like with me, with the exception of the coding part, I know every single moving part of my business. Because I developed it. I may not have been the guy who wrote the code, but it came from here. And then my developer and I talked, here's what we need. And ultimately the stuff that didn't work, like where we had to rip the whole thing out, that worked for a while, but then it didn't. So as an entrepreneur, you have to know everything. If you don't know everything, stuff's going to slip through the cracks.
So I, going back to my original question was, how'd you onboard the news reporters? You put out a link advertisement on LinkedIn, and then you pitched it to them directly, like come here on a commission basis.
Yeah, over a Zoom call. And then once I figured out how it worked, I said, I'm never doing this again because it was just wow. And so then we started marketing it. Well, then I did the capital raise and simultaneously in call it the beginning of this year, I started running ads on LinkedIn, but the ads are, here's how it works. Watch this video, click this link and watch the video and fill out the application if you have an interest. So now I'm weeding through everybody. I don't have to talk to anybody. They already know how it works. So you're either going to fill it out or you're not. And the old people, when I say old, I don't mean like their age. I mean the people that have been entrenched in newsrooms forever. This whole internet thing has screwed them up because like me, I don't have a social media following. I don't want a social media following. I could care less about social media, but the younger generation has it. And the people my age or the 50-year-olds don't. And those people coming out of a newsroom are not going to participate in new media. They're going to be looking for new jobs. It's going to be all the younger generation. I mean, I'm 60, but the kids of today know more about the internet than I do. I mean, these younger kids never were out, playing hockey or throwing a ball. They were in there getting friends on Facebook, right? They were building I have 3,000 friends, So it's a different world today. So they understand it better. And those are going to be your next news reporters. It's really the next generation news reporting is going to be a whole new group of people. It won't be the old guard, like any paradigm, never the old's part of the new. It's going to be mostly a younger generation. Younger to me is 40, okay, 50, but it's younger. And it's going to be people who understand the internet, understand the power of social media, understand YouTube and the monetization model and how it works. And they already have a grasp of it because they're living it. And this is another vehicle for distribution and monetization. It'll be all new people. And that's what we're building. So all these young kids coming out of school, and there's hundreds of thousands of them, they got nowhere to go. Nowhere. And if I told all of them about this, you'd probably get all of them sign up, and probably only 10% of them would make it. And the reason for that is it's like YouTube, the 80-20 rule, right? 20% of the people make 80% of the money, and the rest of them flounder and don't even continue on. So active accounts on YouTube, out of 100 million accounts, there's only 20% of them that are actually active. That's it. The rest fail. Just the way it is. It's the same. It's the same with us. It's the 80-20 rule. If I bring on 100,000 news reporters, I'll have 20,000 active. The rest of them just won't be able to figure it out. Or they need not guidance, but there's some people that are type A personalities that will figure something out and they will make something of it. And there's other people that are lazy that don't want to do anything, and they'll point the finger at everybody else. It's your fault, right? It's not my fault. Well, sink or swim. That's how this works. I throw you in the water. You're either going to sink or you're going to swim. I'm not here to throw you a life raft. That's it. And neither is YouTube. Okay. Nobody grabs somebody from YouTube and goes, oh, don't worry, we're going to push you 1 billion people. No, you either have great, compelling content or you don't. And if you don't, you'll just leave on your own because you won't make any money.
It's the beauty of capitalism.
That's the beauty of capitalism. You either sink or swim, make it or you don't make it. And that's what our platform is. It's YouTube for news. It's Facebook for news. Could be written, audio, or video. But the content creators, remember, YouTube's been around 25 years, I think. I don't remember the date, but it's been around a long time. They never had a monetization model. People just got up and became broadcasters just to do it, right? And then later on, they introduced the money thing like a decade later. Okay. After they started getting bigger, they go, oh, we'll share in the ad revenue with you. I don't have that luxury. Okay. I have to start it immediately, which means I have to support my people. So I have to be selling ads. I have to be doing all this stuff. And it really is not, one person could never sell enough ads. It's got to be a marketing effort where it's self-service, where they're buying it on their own. It's the only way to do it. So this is where, when I'm raising capital, it's really expansion capital to grow and expand the business. The void is there. The marketplace is there. Let's put it this way. I'm doing a $1.2 million raise. I've done 350 something thousand of it right now. So let's say I've done 30% of it. What's going to happen is that gives me growing at an exponential rate 2 years if I never sell an ad or raise a nickel. Okay. Do you think I'm going to have more news reporters or less news reporters 2 years from now?
More.
Okay. That's called growth. So what I'm saying is, so that changes the value of my digital property. So whereas we're selling stock in the company right now for $2, once I complete this, the next one's going to 10. Want to know why? Because by the time I got 50,000 news reporters, it's worth 100. That's why. So you don't pay 10, pay 100. We don't care, because it's going to happen. Because with that money, I can market to those people and bring them, which then attracts revenue. It all comes together. Make sense?
It does. Sam, we're getting to the end of the episode. I thought maybe I could bring your website up.
Sure.
And right now, Canadian users can go view your site, correct?
Yes. So, there's the website. Yours opens to Point Roberts, Washington. It doesn't matter. You put in another zip code, you go there. If you mouse over national news, there's all the topics right there. You read what you want. It's very simple. And then when it comes to like local edition for different markets, there's going to be different local news, different categories. And then you have obviously US World. Multimedia is going to be where we, like, if you click YourNews videos at the bottom there, this is going to be where we carry all of the podcasters that submit their content to us. So this could be like where your stuff is, like when you get this to me. So all of this is podcasts, and these are user generated content. At the bottom of the page, if you go down to the bottom, if you want to be a citizen journalist, you see at the bottom there, it says become a citizen journalist. You see that, Payman? Okay. So you watch these videos. If you scroll down a little bit, there's an application. So if you in Canada want to set up an account with us, we could set you up as a news reporter. I would prefer you wait until we get the Canadian version so I could set you to your market. And then once you're set up, you're now a local news reporter in your community, and you could report on news. And then the last piece, if you go to the bottom, there's a button there that says invest. For those of you who are investors, you see where it says the minimum there is $200. We can take in investments for $200 or anywhere in between. If you scroll down a little bit, just an inch, I think it'll show you the dollar amount. See, it says right. Well, I don't know if you could see it, but there, that says like 350 or something like that. So that the offering is for 1.2. I'll get that done by the end of the year. This one is a $2 offering. The next one goes to 10 or 9 or 11, whatever. It's going to be, this valuation's a 20 million followed up by probably 100. And if you wonder how I come up with that valuation, it's really simple. Facebook Series A round was 98 million, so make it 100 million. The next round after that was 500 million. They had zero revenue at that point. I already have revs. I already have a user base. I already have traffic. I already have everything. Mine is low because I'm priming the pump with a 1.2 million. The next one, we're going to start this out and really hit it hard. And then ultimately, this is something I do not want the institutions to own. It's a product that's funded by we the people, Payman. That's why I don't let institutional players in this. You won't be able to stop them when they're public, but you could certainly stop them as a private entity. So if people make investments in this, I'm looking for disbursement of the product. What I want is the people to own this, even if it's, we're creating a Canadian version. So even if it's Canadian, and by the way, I do have Canadians that own stock in this company. I do. I don't know how many there are, probably a half a dozen of them or something like that. So, as we scale this, I want to open up other countries too, because I'm going to tell you right now, what I do is going to replace the legacy media, but it's going to be a global media giant. So as you start getting bigger, it'll attract more and more investment. And the bigger the investment, like, what are you going to need to scale this in the UK? What are you going to need to bring this to India and Pakistan, all these different countries? I don't know the answer to that at the moment. I know what I need for the US, and $1 million is not going to cover it, but the next one we do after will. 5 million will do it. And that'll get us to the point where you're really big. You're talking profitable, the whole 9 yards. So this has been a fun undertaking, especially now, because when I started this, nobody believed me. And now everybody's like, holy crap, how did you pull this off? Well, I had to figure it out for I don't know how many years, but now that we're here, this is all figured out. The next step is, how do we scale it at a rapid pace? And if you want to know what really saves everything, it's really putting out information, because the people, like even in your country and in my country, that are doing bad things on not only on a national level, but on a local level, the worst thing you could do to those people is expose it and put light on the topic. And that's what this is going to do, because as well as I do, in order for a crime to be committed, especially at the high levels, there's other people that have to know about it, right? There's no way somebody could funnel $2 billion to one place without anybody knowing. Okay. So somebody has to know about this stuff. And the reason here in the United States why these whistleblowers don't come forward is because the media shames the living crap out of them.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm sure they'll probably arrest you there, right? So in our case, we're going to be requesting for people to be whistleblowers, and we're going to praise them. Okay, we're going to take all that content in and put out articles about it and then share it with the politicians who are actually the thieves. The difference between me and everybody else is I could do it with the mayor of Omaha, Nebraska. I could do it with the city of Chicago, the mayor of the city of Chicago. I could do it with governors. This is not good for them. This will become the next WikiLeaks, mark my words. Hopefully in your country, it takes off and the grassroots level grows and it really pisses off your country. So I can tell them all, whenever you win the Stanley Cup against the Panthers, I'll take it down. How's that sound? Is that fair enough?
I can tell you everybody here hates our government, so they're cheering you on.
Oh, absolutely. That I do know. I'm here to help. That's all I'm here to do. So thanks for having me on the show, Payman. I'll next time I come on, I want to have at least 1,400 or 1,500, or at least we had 800. So add 300 or 400 more.
Next time you come on, I want you to have the Canadian version ready.
Oh, yes. That's what we got to do. Okay. So I don't know when that's going to be. It might be in 3 weeks. It might be done. I don't know the date. I never asked him how long. He told me on this one, he'll have it done by the end of the month. That was the beginning of the month. So it's coming up at the end of the month. But then he goes, then we'll get the Canadian version started. So I'm guessing it'll be 2 weeks. For all I know, it'll take 6 or 4. I don't know, but it'll be done next. I promise.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. Mr. Anthony, I want to thank you for coming on. I'm going to hold you over until after the show. I wanted to talk to you, but
Sure.
yeah, thank you so much for your time and for all the great work you're doing.
My pleasure. And, I'm always glad to be able to be on your show and talk to you and talk to your audience. I think it's awesome. And hopefully, we can change things for the better in both countries.
Well, with, strong patriots like you, I think we have a good shot at it.
You too.
Take care.
Bye.